The first thing I want to say, and yet, even though Mr. Zeoli says he was not in favor of the project, yet we have it. Yet we have it in town. I'm sure that the seller of that property enjoyed selling that property and getting that money and the approval there. It wasn't stocked, it wasn't conditioned, yet we have it. Now he says it's not the vision of Orange. And yet, as first selectman, he allowed it into town. Now, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with luxury housing, but a cluster like that changes the character of that whole area. And that's not preserving the character of Orange. Mrs. Zeoli kind of, at this point, I think, is talking out of both sides of his mouth when he says, and look at all the money we're going to get from that. So I think he's not really telling the truth if he says he wasn't in favor of it, and yet look at all the wonderful things we're going to get from it. The reality, I've been up there, and the vast majority of people are from Fairfield County and New York. They're not from Orange. It's unaffordable. 360 is the lowest unit there. The average price is $500,000, and houses go up there close to $1 million.
Gentlemen, thank you both, and thank you members of the audience that gave us some questions.
Okay, now we're going to turn to the closing statements. Mr. Zeoli won the coin toss and deferred. So Mr. Lenz, 4-minute closing statement, you will begin.
First of all, I want to make sure my mic is working right because the Republican adjusted it during the break. Debates and public dialogue are an important part of the campaign process. And I want to thank all those who worked to make tonight possible. The Chamber, our moderator, those in attendance here, and I hope you and everyone watching on ODAT will leave better informed on the issues and my position on each one of them. Orange is at a crossroads. Will we continue along the current path of little or no change in how we address economic development? No additional senior housing or closed government? Or will the voters choose a different path? A path of economic growth, of providing for seniors so they can stay in Orange, and a government where your voices are heard and your opinions respected, and a government where programs that allow one family to get a dishwasher are known to all families who might need a dishwasher or a washing machine. We've discussed taxes tonight. My opponent continues to maintain that everything is fine, that we're doing more with less, and that if we're just patient, new businesses will come calling and come to Orange. I believe we can and must do better. We must focus on bringing in new and expanded industries and commercial businesses that will create a healthy business and retail environment. We must carefully examine and implement ways that the town can curtail spending to make sure that we use our resources wisely. We ought not to be penny wise and pound foolish. For instance, allowing town and school buildings to become dilapidated for lack of routine maintenance, or by allowing our roads to fall in disrepair, and then when they need to be completely rebuilt, having to borrow money to bond to pay for them. We've debated the salary of the first selectman to some extent. My opponent believes it's fair that he should get a 7% raise in his salary and let the Orange taxpayers pay for it through the recent tax increases. I don't think that's fair, and I will accept only the same increase in the salary that the other town employees are enjoying this year. We have debated affordable senior housing. Our team believes in the need for that the needs of our residents come first. That's the job of government. Therefore, I propose that when I'm first selectman, we'll undertake a public-private partnership using a nonprofit developer to create 50 units of senior housing that is reasonably priced, so that our seniors can remain here. And if they wish, they can receive necessary outreach to stay in their own homes safely. Finally, we discussed in part open government. The current government, the administration, conceals bad news for fear of criticism. It hired a department manager in community services without input from the volunteer board. And that manager was a reject from prior round of interviews, and was hired, in my opinion, only because of her connections with a prominent Republican, her mother, in another town. We need a first selectman who puts the interests of people first, listens to all sides, invites participation in this administration. Clearly, it's time for a change. And so I ask you to vote on Tuesday, November 5th, to change the status quo. The Democratic candidates have the ability to manage that change and to bring Orange into a new era of economic prosperity, caring concerns. Please vote for Ken Lenz for first selectman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lenz. Mr. Zeoli.